Samhita here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Vedic astrology. I want to start off with the basic elements of Vedic astrology, and I'm going to have a lot of videos under this category. The first video, I want to start off with the 12 houses in astrology. Now, before I get into it, I do want to say a little disclaimer that astrology is not for everybody. There are a lot of people who do not believe in it, and I respect that. So I also ask people who do not believe in it to respect the fact that some of us do. It is definitely something that has contributed a lot to my life and my ability to understand myself and others on a deeper level. And it is something that I found to have many avenues, many interesting takes, interesting philosophies hidden within different aspects of it. So having said that, if you are someone who's curious about Vedic astrology and astrological elements, you can continue to watch this video. If you're especially getting into astrology more and more for the first time and you don't know what astrological houses are, this video is especially for you. Now, in astrology, there are not only sun signs, there are also moon signs, Mars signs, Venus signs, rising signs. Usually what we know as our zodiac sign is basically a western sun sign or a tropical sun sign. There's also something called sidereal sun sign and sidereal signs, also known as Vedic signs. And they are a little bit different. Usually your Vedic signs are one sign before your tropical sun sign. Now that's a lot. I don't want to get into too much detail right away. And you probably didn't even get that, but let me start off with the houses today. Now, there are 12 astrological houses. In this video, I'll tell you what each of them represent. So your sun signs and moon signs, basically all your planets, fall into 12 different houses. Each of your planets could fall anywhere within these 12 houses, and the different combinations of where they fall are determined by when you were born, where you were born, at what time you were born. So So having said that, I will get into the first house in astrology, what it represents and entails. Now, the first house is where your rising sign or your ascendant lies. Now, each of these houses represent different areas of our lives. Each of the planets represent different areas of our personality and our being. So the first house in Vedic astrology and astrology itself represents our outward shining appearance, our aura, our magnetism, our energy, what we come off as, first impressions. The first house basically is what you embody, the energy that you embody, what you come off as. It is the grounding house, the beginning, where all the other houses consecutively follow. Coming to the second house, our second house represents our familial lineage. It also represents wealth, inheritance. It represents speech also. It is an extension of the first house. Now, each house you'll find is the extension of the previous house. So second house in a way is an extension of our outward shining personality, what contributes to it, what are the driving forces behind it, family, our inheritance, how well off we are, all of that contributes to our appearance. So these are the things that the second house represents. A lot of emphasis on finances. The second house is ruled by Taurus, naturally speaking. The first house is ruled by Aries. Now, as you can see, the first house rules physicality, how you appear, and Aries is ruled by Mars, which is all about physical appearance and physicality. So the natural first house being Aries and the natural first house being Taurus, the second house will have Taurian characteristics. It's all about comfort, material comfort, about family, about, your wealth, about speech. Basically is your familial and social standing and your lineage and who you are, what you are born into, so to speak. Now, the third house is the house that is ruled by Gemini. Now, the house ruled by Gemini is all about communication. It's all about curiosity. It's all about tidbits of knowledge and information. It is the house that rules communication. It is ruled by Mercury. Gemini is a sign that's ruled by Mercury. So everything related to Mercury, which is intellectual processes, communication as well, comes into the third house. Now, third house can also, because Gemini is such a curious sign, it can seek out knowledge, and that involves traveling a little bit. So third house represents short trips, so you expand your knowledge base by traveling more. Third house also represents writing, because communication. People with prominent third houses could be in the field of communication, content writing. So that's the third house. The fourth house is the house that is naturally ruled by Cancer. So the fourth house represents the home, motherly nature, your mother. It represents nurturing, nourishing. It represents everything that makes you feel, emotionally taken care of. It is also ruled by the moon. So emotional nourishment is what will be seen or indicated from the fourth house. And the fifth house is the house of Leo, which is ruled by the sun, which is all about your personality, your glamour, your inclination towards entertainment, movies, dance, extravagant displays of the ego. It is all about everything that Leo represents, which is showbiz. So prominent fifth house can be very closely connected to entertainment, creativity, and showbiz. So the fifth house also is connected closely with children and with love and romance. Because romance is so extravagant as well, it's so giddy and heady and so movie-like, it is something that is connected to the fifth house. Now the sixth house is ruled by Virgo. Naturally, when I say naturally, everyone's ascendant could fall anywhere. Like your rising sign could fall in Virgo, in Cancer, in Leo. So like your rising sign then makes the consecutive sign the second house, then the third house. Naturally, the zodiac starts, the constellation system starts with Aries. It starts with Aries, so that is the natural first house. But your first house could be anywhere. It could be any of the 12 houses, if that makes sense. Now coming back to the sixth house, it's the house ruled by Virgo, and it represents debt, and not death, debt, taxes, money, finances. It is also ruled by Mercury. Virgo is a sign where Mercury is in fact the strongest it can be as a planet. So all analytical things connected to accountancy, finance. Also the sixth house is a very intellectual house as well. So everything that's again related to the sign of Virgo, which is being analytical, having a routine, your day-to-day routine, all of that is seen through the sixth house. The sixth house also represents diseases, basically things that require you to have a healthy lifestyle, healthy routine. It's deeply connected to health and well-being. So there are a few negative connotations to this because it represents debt and diseases and stuff like that, but the sixth house also represents healing. It also represents well-being. It also represents your ability to heal from, falling sick or any disease, or maintaining something like, like an allergy, or maintaining something that's like a lifelong ailment that can be managed with food or with proper, nutrition and care. So this is the sixth house. So basically everything connected to segregation, organization, being organized, being analytical, being staying on top of things, being hardworking, your daily routine, all of these things are connected to the sixth house. Now coming to the seventh house, it is the house of partnerships ruled by Libra. Now Libra itself is the sign that is denoted by, I apologize for the noise, this construction is never ending. Libra is itself the sign that is denoted by the balancing of the scales, which basically is the balance between the self and the other. So like Libra is a sign of relationships, and the seventh house is the house of partnerships, relationships, and this is both personal as well as business. So marriage is seen through the seventh house, long-term partnerships are seen through the seventh house, long-term relationships, as well as business and business partnerships, because business is all about relationships as well. So the seventh house rules all of these things and themes connected to these things. Now the eighth house is the sign ruled by Scorpio. Now the eighth house is also a very difficult psychological house because the sign of Scorpio is so much about transformation and like the depth of your being. So the eighth house represents things that are hidden from us, things that live deep within us, things that we need to discover within ourselves. So it basically is connected to the mystery that we are internally. It's connected to our deepest, darkest secrets, our subconscious, our fears. The eighth house is a very deep house. It's also connected to, our transformation. Some say it's also connected to hidden enemies, things that are not out in the light, things that are hidden from others, things that dwell deep within ourselves. Those things are connected to the eighth house. So eighth house is also connected to deep-rooted research and understanding on a deeper level, because when we delve deeper into ourselves, that is something that's basically us getting to know ourselves better and researching ourselves. So uncovering secrets is a very eighth house theme. So you'll see a lot of eighth house placements being connected to people who do deep-rooted research, people who are dedicating their lives to uncovering secrets that are hidden from us, uncovering enigmas and mysteries of the world. The eighth house also represents occult, things like astrology, things like alternative healing techniques. All of these things can be seen through the eighth house. These are things again that are hidden from us, that need to be discovered, that are dwelling within ourselves, on a deep level, our subconscious. So that's the 8th house. Coming to the 9th house, ruled by Sagittarius. The 9th house is all about being larger than life, larger than the immediate surroundings. It's about expansion. It's ruled by Jupiter, and it is a sign that craves adventure. Sagittarius is a sign that craves adventure. So it's a house that represents long distance travel. Now the 3rd house, which is opposite to the 9th house, represents short distance travel. The 9th house represents long distance travel. It represents higher meaning, bigger purpose, the bigger picture. It represents purpose and dharma, righteousness. It represents spirituality. It represents a lot of things that Jupiter represents, which basically is teaching, expansion, growth. So higher meaning, long distance travel, anything that expands our minds, expands our consciousness, our awareness, takes us out of the micro into the macro, is connected to the 9th house. So you can see a lot of spiritual aspects of our lives being activated by 9th house placements. The 10th house is governed by Saturn, and the natural 10th house is Capricorn. So the 10th house is all about hard work, our career, our contribution to society. Now Saturn is always about putting in the hard work, letting go of your personal wishes, qualms, and whatever your personal life is, and contributing and serving the society. So your career is largely determined by the 10th house. The 10th house is your career, and it's also the house that contributes to public appearance. It's also the house that contributes to fame. The 5th and 7th house, and to a degree the 4th and the 1st and the 11th as well, contributes to fame. 9th as well, depends on placements. But the 10th house essentially is the house of public recognition and fame. So strong 10th house with strong planetary placements in that is a strong indicator for fame in someone's life. Basically, it is recognition that comes through our duty to society, through what we do, to contribute to the world around us, the work that we do. So it is essentially the house of our careers and how we contribute to the world around us. Now the 11th house is the house of gains from the 10th house. Now the gains that we have monetarily, the networks that we gain, the people that we come into contact with. Also, since it's the house of Aquarius, it's about organizations, it's about innovation, it's about technology, all of the things that we see. We are in the age of Aquarius essentially. So 11th house represents a lot of Aquarian themes. That is all about, forward thinking, futuristic ideals, technology, changing the world. So 11th house is all about the society at large. 10th house is about your contribution to society, but 11th house is about, you and a bunch of other people, organizations, networks, what they do to society. So the 10th house is about what you give to society, and essentially as the house of gains, the 11th house is about what you gain back from society and all of its organizations and networks and people. Coming to the 12th house, it's the final house. It's the house of liberation, of the subconscious mind, of what's beyond our life. We saw how we started off with the individual self, going into the maturation of the ego, and then business partnerships, and then our career, then the world at large, and then we come to moksha, which is enlightenment, which is beyond human life itself. The 12th house represents isolation, which is essentially the birth of spirituality. At the end of the day, our spiritual journeys are our own. I wouldn't say it's a birth of spirituality, but it is, the 12th house is a strong, again, like the 9th house, but in a more detached way. Like the 9th house is all about spiritual ideals and philosophies, but the 12th house is all about the beyond life. As the house that's ruled essentially by Pisces, it is all about what's beyond human life. It's all about spirituality. It represents isolation. It represents also isolated places like jails, and hospitals are represented by the 12th house. Now these are places where you are isolated, you are away from people, away from society, away from comfort, and you have only yourself, and that unlocks a new dimension that is kind of like a gateway to higher meaning. You cannot be thinking about your day-to-day, or your career, or what you're going to eat in the morning, what you're going to do, or your friend, or whatever, when you're in places like a hospital or a jail. These are places that force you to think about what's beyond life, in a way. So these places of isolation are also represented by the 12th house, as it's ruled by Pisces. It's also the house of the subconscious mind, and where our some would say suppressed memories from previous lifetimes reside, and our deep connection to the beyond, or the astral world, also is indicated by the 12th house. So in a nutshell, I was able to explain to you what each of the 12 houses in astrology represent. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment below, and hit that bell icon so we can stay connected. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.